Alpha and Omega Construction Corporation as one of the three bribe givers.
Alam ng lahat na iisa lang may-ari nito. Same owner of the once blacklisted St. Gerard Construction. The same and one address lang ang ginagamit.
The DPWH has become a playground of syndicates. Kaya nga pati yung multo, pati yung guni-guni nakita namin eh. Isang district, 51 billion. Isang district, 15 billion. Malulunod sila doon, Mr. President. Ganito na po kasama talaga yung kalakaran sa ating bureaucracy.
Mr. President, I move that we resume consideration of the privileged speech delivered by our dear colleague, Senator Ping Lacson, and allow our colleagues, Mr. President, to ask questions, Mr. President, as committed last week, Mr. President. I move, Mr. President, that we recognize the distinguished minority leader and Senator Ping Lacson, who delivered a privileged speech regarding the evils of flood control programs, Mr. President. So move, Mr. President.
Senator Ping Lacson and the Minority Leader, Senator Tito Soto, are both recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will the distinguished gentleman from Cavite yield to some questions regarding his privileged speech last week?
Certainly to the distinguished minority leader, our minority leader, and I cannot let this opportunity pass without acknowledging the exemplary leadership recently displayed by our minority leader. Not many among our colleagues know that he gave way to all the members of the minority. No? Yung membership po ng Commission on Appointments, binigay niya kina Senators Legarda, Subiri, and Risa Ontiveros. Hindi lang yun, pati yung set, binigay pa po din sa this humble representation. So that's the mark of a true leader, Mr. President. So thank you, distinguished minority leader.
Thank you, kind sir. I am humbled by the manifestation. Thank you. Just to refresh our colleagues also, Mr. President, if I may continue. You mentioned in your privilege speech some contractors and some of the owners. Now, Mr. President, may I go on? The Alpha and Omega construction and the St. Timothy constructions were included in the top 15 flood control contractor list from President Bongbong Marcos on during his press conference. And if I'm not mistaken, you also mentioned something to that effect in your privilege speech. Now, on the Securities and Exchange Commission papers, iba-iba po ang owners ng composition of the company. But in actuality, alam ng lahat na iisa lang may-ari nito. Same owner of the once blacklisted St. Gerard Construction. Now, they will deny this fact until they can. However, in one of the tax cases filed against them on 2022 before the Court of Tax Appeals, CTA case number 10472, to be exact, the same and one address lang ang ginagamit for St. Timothy, St. Matthew, St. Gerard, and Alpha and Omega Construction Corporations. Also, the majority stockholder of St. Timothy, who owns 85% of the company, named Miguel Juntura, was the marketing director of St. Gerard. The question, Mr. President, billions of government projects concentrated and monopolized by a few. Mr. President, paano nila itong nailulusot? Who monitors this kind of circumvention?
We have an agency, Mr. President. It is called the Philippine Contractors Accreditation Board, or PICAB, which is the implementing board of the CIAP. Construction Industry Authority of the Philippines. Incidentally, this authority is under the DTI, no? Pero it seems na medyo na haluan na rin yata ng konting, o hindi lang konti, no, ng katiwalian pagdating sa mga flood control projects, because information keep coming in, no, sa aming opisina na itong pickup nagre-resort na sa accreditation for sale, no? May mga ganyang reports, and I've talked to some contractors, private contractors, na they had this experience of being offered, no, accreditation by pickup, na sila na yung bahala sa bank certificate and other requirements, no, for a fee of, I think, 2 million pesos, no, for a start. So ganito na po kasama talaga yung kalakaran sa ating bureaucracy, and I think in the second hearing of the Blue Ribbon Committee, because I believe, as we have monitored, na during the first hearing, guess po ninyo yung resource person nyo yung pickup. And there's some issues that they could not explain during the hearing, and I think we can take this up again with them. Your observation in relation to St. Timothy and Alpha and Omega. Incidentally, Mr. President, Alpha Omega was mentioned by the Pride of Congress, who incidentally is the produced seed of our distinguished colleague, Senator Loren Legarda. Sabi ko nga, move over, Senator Legarda, there's a new kid on the block. And to her credit, she produced a seed named Leandro Legarda Leviste. Nabanggit po niya itong Alpha Omega, na one of the 3 contractors, no, na involved, na may resibo pa. Ang sabi niya, I heard his interview sa radio, TV, and he identified Alpha and Omega ba ito?
Yes.
Given through the district engineer of Batangas, First Engineering District, si Abelardo Calalo. Alpha and Omega Construction Corporation as one of the 3 bribe givers, given through the district engineer of Batangas, First Engineering District, si Abelardo Calalo. And I think we should not stop at filing the information or filing the case with the prosecutor's office of Batangas. I think we should dig deeper into this case. Congressman Leviste offered him to be a state witness, and I think the Department of Justice can pursue this, if only to identify and to catch the bigger fish. Kasi lumalabas ngayon, as I mentioned in my privilege speech, naging bagmen na lang, naging legmen yung mga district engineers, no? Sila na lang yung taga-takbo ng mga contractors, and who knows, maybe even the funders who are the sponsors or proponents of insertions in the GAA.
Well, thank you for that, Mr. President. May I know how the Philippine Contractors Board is formed? Ano ba ito? Paano nabubuo itong board na to? Who appoints the members? Who elect the members?
Let me look into that, Mr. President, but I think that's a good question to be raised in the second hearing of the Blue Ribbon Committee, led by our distinguished colleague, Senator Marcoleta. No? I-take note natin, Mr. President, so we can ask this question.
That's good. Thank you very much. Now, speaking of government officials, to determine the involvement of government officials or intertwined ownership with those who have been blacklisted or those who have tax evasion cases, do you think we should also try to dig deeper during the evaluation of project contractors, such as going into the layers of their ownership? Di po ba dapat ganun ang gawin?
Certainly, Mr. President, we should look into that. Ano? Yung interlocking directorship ang tawag doon, na kung saan nile-layer, pero pag tiningnan mo yung corporation documents ng several corporations, nag-i-interlock yung mga director, sila rin. No? And of course, nile-layer para hindi ma-identify. And this is a practice being committed by, mga unscrupulous corporations that deal with the government, particularly mga flood control projects.
Yeah, Mr. President, your guess is as good as mine also. Hindi ko nga alam kung paano nabubuo itong Philippine Contractors Accreditation Board. Kasi in 2023, the Bulacan River Project amounted to 96.4 million was deemed completed. However, upon the ocular inspection of the President, stated that more than 200 meters of revetment was not built. And the contractor is St. Timothy Construction Corporation. O sila na naman yun. So after this anomaly, the PICAB, yung Philippine Contractors Board, the PICAB license of St. Timothy was renewed from 2025 to 2027, allowing them to again participate in other massive government projects. How is this? How can this happen, Mr. President, Your Honor?
Most likely, Mr. President, ghost project po ito. Yung minention nyo na 96 million peso flood control project. Ang nangyayari po kasi, Mr. President, as I also mentioned in my privilege speech, minsan yung lisensya ng contractor, hinihiram na lamang ng District Engineering Office at sila na nag-i-implement. And the District Engineer is the one, upon receipt of the what we call Project Designation Order. So mag-organize na siya, he will appoint the Project Engineer, PE. And he will also appoint yung inspector unit, yung mag-i-inspect. And even if hindi makumpleto yung project kasi nga ghost, mag-i-issue na rin sila ng tinatawag na Statement of Works Accomplishment. Puro papel po ang tumatakbo, ang umaandar without the project being completed. And I think there's a failure in the monitoring system of the Department of Public Works and Highways in the central office. Kasi meron silang monitoring office I think under a USEC, in the department. Ito yung nagmo-monitor ng progress ng lahat ng mga projects, not only flood control projects, but all kinds of infra projects under the auspices or supervision of the Department of Public Works and Highways. So I don't know how high up yung syndicate, but it seems that the DPWH has become a playground of syndicates. Kasi nung sinabi nga ni Secretary Bonoan na isolated case ang first engineering district ng Bulacan, I did not believe him, Mr. President. Kasi mismong ang presidente, pag nag-iikot sa iba't ibang lugar, may nakikitang ghost projects. I myself, my team, was able to validate this in Nauhan, in Sitio Dike, Barangay Apitong. And I was listening to this interview by Secretary Bonoan. Sabi niya, miscommunication lang daw with the barangay chairman na sinasabing yung project na sinasabing ghost project, ibang lugar daw. Well, ang sinabi niya, Barangay Dike. Barangay, hindi raw sa Barangay Apitong. Sitio Dike, Mr. President, is in Barangay Apitong. And our basis for locating that particular ghost project declared as completed pero walang project na nangyari, pinabalidate lang namin doon sa barangay chairman and some residents na talagang wala silang nasaksihan na construction ng flood control projects in that area. Kasi isang sitio lang naman to, Mr. President. Yung sinasabi niya, miscommunication, mali raw yung aming team, which I cannot accept, Mr. President, because I have this habit of validating, counter-checking, validating again before I open my mouth, especially in a privileged speech, because I know I will be fact-checked. And it really happened because andyan na yung media, nagpunta na doon sa mga binanggit kong ghost projects, and they were really fact-checking kung talagang ghost projects. And here comes the DPWH secretary, no less, even accusing us or insinuating at least na mali kami and mali rin daw yung media. So how could the Bulacan First District Engineering Office be an isolated case kung laganap na yung kaso? And man you, Mr. President, yung ginawa namin, in-undertake lang namin mga case studies because I already anticipated that line na hindi isolated case yan. Actually, we were ready to deliver, I was ready to deliver my privilege speech after Nauhan or after Oriental Mindoro. Sufficient na po yung mga case studies doon. But I told my staff, let's wait a while kasi sasabihin, check yan, isolated case yung Oriental Mindoro. Let's go to other places. And luckily for us, Mr. President, the President launched 1 week after his SONA, he launched the Sumbong sa Pangulo .ph website. And it was very helpful actually. And it continues to help our netizens, the media, and other people concerned with anomalous flood control projects. Ang laking tulong po sa amin because exact location, the website provided us with the exact grid coordinates. Kaya nga pati yung multo, pati yung guni-guni nakita namin eh. Imagine, wala ka makikita ng project pero natukoy pa rin ng aking team or teams kung saan nakalocate yung ghost projects. Why? Because of the Sumbong sa Pangulo website. Hindi makakaila, Mr. President. That's the reason why we were able to locate several ghost projects, mostly in Bulacan. Kasi as I also mentioned in my privilege speech, yung Bulacan First District Engineering Office, yun ang pinaka-notorious in at least from where I sit, Mr. President.
Ginoong Pangulo, Mr. President, ngunit kung completed na yung project, pag sinabing deemed completed, nabayaran na to.
Babayaran, Mr. President.
Babayaran o nabayaran na?
Nabayaran.
And there are several signatories like for a project inspection, it has to be declared complete para ma-release yung payment. Pipirma dyan yung inspectorate team, yung assistant district engineer and the district engineer at kung sino-sino pa. Paano pong nakakalusot yan? Di alam nila lahat.
Well, they should be held accountable and criminally liable, Mr. President. No, if not administratively, criminally. Kasi kung hindi negligence ito, may criminal may violation sa batas, Mr. President. Kasi why would you certify on something na hindi naman totoo? No? And that's the reason why, kasi naabuso na in the course of time, Mr. President, hindi na nagkasya doon sa tinatawag kong pie sharing. Nagtipid pa, nagmenos pa, ginos project na, minaximize na. Kaya nga sabi ko, hindi na flood control ang hinahanap ng Pilipino, grid control. Kasi nasobra na yung grid na sinagasaan ng lahat. Wala na. Hubris, yung tawag natin doon, Mr. President, hubris. Kasi nahirate, and we also encountered cases or case studies wherein nag-ghost na, pinos pa yung lot harder, ginos pa ulit for the succeeding year. Kasi pagka nag-ghost ka na, ang pantakip mo, yung succeeding year project, di ba? Yung napondohan na naman. Pag pagtakpa na yon, mahirap nang hanapin yung ghost kasi meron talagang project. So meron kami na-encounter na 2 beses pang ginost, pangatlo, saka palang ginawa, pero na-late na, inabot na ng Habagat, inabot na rin ng Krising, Dante, at saka Emong.
Pananaw po ng mga kababayan natin, kung itong mga pondo na to hindi inilagay sa budget, ganun pa rin ang Pilipinas eh. pero nakatipid tayo ng napakalaking pera na napunta lang sa bulsa nila. Hindi po ba? Ganun ang nangyayari.
Yes, Mr. President, but kung hindi naman natin popondohan, wala naman tayong flood control projects. Wala naman tayong mga dikes that will protect our farmers in low-lying areas. So I think the better solution is really to, put our foot down, on the entire process of implementing projects from the time a legislator proposes an insertion in the national budget measure. Although it's implementation, dapat talaga mayroong nagmo-monitor. Ang problema, nagmo-monitor dito, Mr. President, DPWH din.
Yung bang pick-up nasa DPWH?
And Mr. President, this is an implementing board of the Construction Industry Authority of the Philippines, which is under the DTI.
Kasi nagbibigay sila ng license eh. Doon sa hearing, if I'm not mistaken, the way I heard it during the last hearing, meron sila nung tinatawag na pick-up license na category. May category A.
Yeah.
No, may ganun, ano? Ano po ba ang threshold amount per project that you can bid out?
Meron pong categorization yan eh. Mayroong classification table. Ito, based on the Board Resolution number 201, series of 2017. Pick up din to nagka-categorize dito. Pag sinabi mong general engineering, pagka A, pag sa general engineering, ang minimum net worth, yung equity, 30 million pesos. Tapos makakakuha ng credit points na 300 points. Merong hanggang sa umabot sa overall credit points. Now, do sa third stage of adjustment on allowable ranges of contract costs, yung ARCC. Ang sinasabi rito, pagka yung medium B, ito yung A, kasi large A yung double A. Ang sinasabi, yung single largest project above 75 million up to 150 million pesos. And then yung allowable ranges of range of contract cost up to 300 million. Yan po yung pagka ang sinabanggit nyo kanina, ang category A, contractor A. Kasi hanggang quadruple A po yan, Mr. President.
So may threshold.
Meron po.
Yun. Ngayon, Mr. President, this is based on records. Yung MG Samidan Corporation's license is category A. Alright? Only. Yet, for the year 2022 to 2025, it bagged 58 flood control projects amounting to 5 billion .02.
Lampas po, Mr. President.
So is this definitely not within the allowed amount in category A license, ano?
Yes, Mr. President. And this is one of the questions that we should ask pick-up to clarify. Kasi paano makakakuha ng ganong kalaking kontrata kung siya'y medium B or license category A? Kasi sinasabi rito sa table, ang single largest project above 75 million up to 150 million. And allowable range of contract costs up to 300 million. Kasi kung billion, medyo lampas-lampasan siguro.
5 billion po.
Baka pang quadruple or triple A na yan, Mr. President.
5
So we
billion
should
po.
ask
Ito pa,
them.
maganda ito, lalong sumasarap. In 2019, itong MG Samidan's paid up capital is only 250,000 pesos.
Lalo na, Mr. President.
Ano? Di ba? Come 2022, how is it possible that their financial capacity increased to undertake billions worth of projects?
I think, Mr. President, distinguished minority leader, we should attend the second hearing of the Blue Ribbon Committee and clarify po natin ito. Wala po yung ating chairman ng Blue Ribbon dito, but I have a comment, if I may, Mr. President, distinguished majority leader. September 1 din yata yung first hearing natin ng DBCC. Baka naman pwedeng pagsalisihin natin yung petsa kasi parehong gusto nating mag-attend do sa dalawang all too important hearings. So baka naman pwede mapakiusapan natin yung Blue Ribbon na ilihis man lang sa ibang petsa, not on September 1. Kasi September 1,
Is it
I
at
don't
the
know
same time?
kung anong araw yon, but if it's session day,
Parehong 10?
maubusan tayo ng oras.
Is it at the same time?
Yeah, we take note of that, Mr. President. We will consult with the chairperson of the Blue Ribbon Committee and the chairperson of Finance, Mr. President. Thank you. Thank you, dear colleague.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Now, during the hearing also, Mr. President, that's why talagang tama, napakahalaga na maka-attend tayo nito mga hearings na ito. I found out that yung blacklisting po nila is only 1 year. I feel that it's too lax a penalty for being blacklisted. Hindi lang yun tapos gagawa pa na ibang kumpanya. Do you think we should come up with a sticker penalty? Let's say 3 or 5 years. Pag na-blacklist ka, dapat 5 taon, hindi ka pwede. What do you think, Your Honor, Mr. President?
Mr. President, I was told that the creation of PICAB is under Republic Act 4566. And I think we should revisit RA 4566 para ma-check natin itong, I won't say anomaly, but itong probably, kailan i-update natin yung batas, Mr. President.
Good, Mr. President. At least we would be able to look into that piece of legislation. Now,
May I know what construction company are you referring to? Yung malitong paid-up capital.
MG Samidan.
MG?
MG Samidan.
Thank you.
All right. Ito, madalas kong naririnig sa inyo ito during not only during the campaign, but many years ago. You're very concerned about the regional development councils, the local development councils. Ang sinasabi ninyo, dapat pag-akyat sa NEP or paggawa ng NEP, nakikinig sa local development councils, sa regional development councils, hindi po ba?
That is correct, Mr. President.
Kaya mahalaga rin talaga itong DBCC na hearing. Ngayon, why are there flood control projects in areas identified by Project NOAA as having little or none flood risk? Why are we spending billions of pesos on projects that these areas, when many areas are drowning during a single habagat? Paano nangyayari po ito? Ibig sabihin, hindi nakikinig doon sa Regional Development Council or yung Regional Development Council ang humihiling?
Mr. President, this is one flaw in the budget process that we want to correct. And I've been very vocal in this regard. Dahil year in, year out, and I hope I have always raised this question. Our colleague, Senator Ligarda, when she was chairperson, paulit-ulit ko po yung tanong, bakit 20% lamang ng output ng local development councils, particularly our regional development councils, ang na-adapt sa NEP? Imagine 20%, and yet dapat yung bulk ng mga projects, mga PPAs, projects, programs and activities, dapat ang bulk yan nanggagaling sa local development councils. After all, who would know better the needs and priorities of the localities than the local development councils? Ang nangyayari, Mr. President, alam nyo, yung district representatives natin should be represented in the local development councils, and they are. Even in the barangay development council, they can send their representatives. And then municipal, city, provincial, pwede sila mag-attend, and that's where they should, debate with the local government units na kailangan nila yung mga proyekto rin sa loob ng kanilang district. Na sa ganon, when the budget call comes, nakasama na sa National Expenditure Program yung output ng mga regional development councils. Ang nangyayari, Mr. President, normally, they don't participate. Why? Because sabi nila, pagdating naman sa Congress, kami naman ang bida eh. Mag-i-insert lang kami. Ang problema sa insertions, walang consultation sa end users.
Local, yeah.
Sa local government units. Wala rin consultation sa mga implementing agencies. And that's the reason why, again, during budget deliberations, I had always questioned, bakit ang laki lagi ng ating unused appropriations? Nandiyan tayo sa mga 400 billion a year. From 2010, I think up to 2020, for 10 years, parang ang average natin on a yearly basis, parang 452 billion. Why? Because the implementing agencies would not know how to implement the projects because they were not consulted. And remember when we talked to Senator Mark Villar, no, some time ago, I thought he would take it against me when he was DPWH secretary na binabawasan ko yung budget ng agency niya. And he told us, no, as a matter of fact, we were thankful, even the other agencies, other departments, were very thankful that you were pointing out that the insertions or the amendments introduced or proposed by legislators, hindi man lang sila kinusulta. And that's the reason why yung unused appropriations kept adding up. Kasi kung hindi nila alam, wala silang program of works, wala silang planning, paano nila implement? Ang problema nga, Mr. President, and I think ayaw natin marinig ito, no? The Filipino people hate to hear this, and we're also afraid to say it. No? Pero ang nangyayari, ano yun, pinapasukan ng personal interest eh. Yung insertions, minsan sometimes nagiging supplier-friendly or contractor-friendly. Hindi na iniisip talaga yung kung ano yung needs and priorities of their constituents. Halimbawa, nakadeploy yung aking, contractor ako, congressman din ako, nakadeploy yung aking mga equipment sa isang lugar. Eh, yung mobilization nun, pag deploy ko sa ibang lugar, medyo magastos. So doon ako mag-i-insert doon sa lugar na nakadeploy ng equipment ko.
Kahit hindi masyadong kailangan.
Ay, talaga hindi kailangan, Mr. President. And sometimes, alam din naman natin to, Mr. President, na yung pagpili ng mga district engineers, mayroong say ang mga district representatives. No? It works both ways, Mr. President. Naglalabi yung district engineer para mapunta siya sa district. Ang gagamitin niyang tagalabi, district representative. Yun naman district representative, gusto niya, bata niya yung district engineer. So pag it has come to a point na pag nag-insert, minsan, hindi na ito hundreds of millions. Umabot na minsan ng 10 billion pesos in one district. We heard stories about, or based on records, isang district 51 billion, isang district 15 billion. Malulunod sila doon, Mr. President. How can one district absorb, ang tinatawag natin absorptive capacity? How could it absorb 51 billion pesos worth of projects in a district? Tell me, Mr. President.
Imposible. I've heard the NCR mayors complaining Don't you think it's time that the local executives and the Sanggunians be actively involved in flood control projects in
I
their
believe so,
localities?
Mr. President.
No?
Kaya lang, pag nag-sign off yung local government units, halimbawa, bago makapag-start ng project, yung contractor sa isang munisipyo o sa isang probinsya at hihingi pa ito ng permit sa mayor, nadagdagan na naman yung ating...
Yun.
Yan ang problema natin, Mr. President. So I think, ang pakialam dapat ng mga local government units by way of the local development council sa planning, Mr. President. Dapat dyan sila mas malaki ang pakialam. And then, after the completion of the project, may pakialam sila to inspect kung nasunod ba yung specs, kung naandyan ba talaga yung project, hindi ba ghost. I think, doon sa dalawang phases na yon, doon dapat may pakialam yung mga local government units. But, in the process of implementation, pag binigyan natin ng poder at kumuha ng permit, madadagdagan yung slice ng pie, Mr. President.
So mas pwedeng pakinggan itong sinasabi kasi si Manila Mayor Moreno sabi yung 200 flood control projects daw in Manila worth 14 billion ay wala raw lahat permit. So in other words, hindi kumuha ng permit sa kanila kasi. Pero ang sinasabi naman ni Mayor Belmonte, Joy Belmonte, many flood control projects bypass the LGU not as far as permits are concerned but as far as the redundancy or alignment with their city plans. So more or less, lumilinya rin sa sinasabi mo, yung
Yes,
sinasabi
Mr.
ni Mayor
President.
Belmonte. All right. Now, one final question, Mr. President, Your Honor. Do you think it's time we put a cap on how many government infrastructure projects a contractor may be awarded? Let's say a maximum of 5 projects, tapos hindi annual. Total, ilang daan yung mga kontratista na yan, napakadami nila. Maraming maliliit, maraming gustong tumulong, nakukupong ng 15. 500 billion, 15. I think it's about time, Mr. President, we study the possibility of having a cap. Will you agree to that, Mr. President?
I could not but agree, Mr. President, na kasama nito pag na-revisit natin yung RA 4566, the law that created the PICAB. No? Baka pwedeng lagyan natin ng cap. Huwag naman yung makopo ng... Well, there's always 1,000 ways to skin a cat, so to speak, Mr. President. No? Magagawa lang ng napakaraming corporations o construction companies yung isang contractor, di ganun din ang suma total, Mr. President.
Pero doon papasok naman yung sinasabi natin sa board na scrutinize nila ang mga members nitong mga kumpanya na ito at kung sino-sino lang.
I agree, Mr. President. This is really a very complex problem, no? Maganda lang, it has come to light because of the son of the President, followed up by his sumbong sa Pangulo website. Kaya medyo nagising din yung ating mga kababayan na maging involved na because after all, these are taxes that they keep paying, no? Pumunta ka lang sa mall, sa grocery, tagakan agad ng 12% VAT eh. Wala naman lumiligtas sa tax, maski yung taxi evader, hindi makaligtas sa VAT eh.
And
So
also,
we should all get involved and we should all really, for a change, you know. Kaya nga ako, when I was interviewed once, and I intend to manifest during the hearing, the first hearing with the DBCC, gusto ko i-manifest, Mr. President, for a change, i-adapt na lang natin yung NEP eh. So it's all on the executive department. I-monitor na lang natin how, or i-oversee na lang natin how they implement their own budget. No? But you know, it's easier said than done, no? Because we're only one house and we are 24. Of course, some of our colleagues have their own advocacies, no? Well-intentioned as they are, na hindi rin naman siguro papayag na as is where is yung ating NEP.
okay.
But I'm tempted to manifest and even move that we adapt. Wala pa tayong trabaho.
Pag-usapan
Mr.
natin,
President, with the indulgence of our minority,
I can end this now. I can end this, Mr.
That
Majority
particular-
Leader. Thank you very much. At malaking bagay din nakatulong yung privilege speech ng ating colleague from Cavite. Congratulations for that and thank you very much. Majority Leader, thank you.
Yes,
I am
thank you.
done.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President.